Every top athlete has a coach. Why shouldn't every top business owner have a coach? Stick with me to the end of the video to find out how hiring the right coach can make you a history maker. One of the most popular questions that I'm often asked is, how do I become a top performing franchisee? Look, nobody ever said yes to a franchise business because they want to be average. The funny thing is that people use average performance numbers to then make their investment decision rather than focusing on the top performing people in the franchise system. In this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about business coaching. So franchisors can be great operational coaches. They can teach you the in and out of their business. You don't have to come to the idea of owning a franchise with prior industry experience or knowledge in order to be a successful franchisee. I have plenty of videos on this YouTube channel to speak right to that fact, interviewing now franchise owners, my former candidates, who own businesses that they knew nothing about prior to saying yes to their business. So you don't need industry experience to go on to be a successful franchise owner. But what you do need is to become your own business coach. In my experience, the franchisor isn't going to be the one holding you accountable to what you say you want to do in your business. So it kind of goes back to my days of being a personal trainer, which again, if you've been on my YouTube channel, you've heard me talk about my personal training days before, but it's so applicable that it's just a good analogy. When people would hire me to be the personal trainer, I would create the program for them. I would provide the environment for them to work in, and I would create the program. But I couldn't make them come to the gym. I could have the best workout in the world, but they had to do the workout. They had to hold themselves accountable to their own goals. They had to be focused. They had to be disciplined. They had to be consistent. They had to control what they ate when I wasn't looking. All of these things would determine their success in getting their dream body or getting the result they wanted from joining the gym. Well, the same analogy is true in franchise ownership. So the franchisor can provide the best retail environment. They can give you the best territory. They can have the best business plan. But it's up to your execution of the business plan to determine your result. This is something that I learned for myself in the 19 years that I've been a franchisee here at FranChoice. So for the first 8 years that I was a consultant, I was an average performing consultant. Since 2012, I have been a top performing consultant. So same me, two different results. Once I became a top performing consultant, it changed many things. Number one, it changed how I'm going to coach you on validating with owners, because I was the same me, but I produced two totally different results. So what did I do? That's the point of this video. The number one thing that I did back in 2011 as I was preparing with a really, really big goal, so I guess that's the first thing I did, was I set a really, really big goal. In any kind of achievement in life, the bigger the goal, the better you're going to be. We only rise to our own level of expectation. I would rather you achieve 60% of a huge goal than 100% of a small goal. Because even at 60% of a huge goal, I can almost guarantee you're going to end up way higher than you would 100% at a smaller goal. I know because I do it every single day in my business and in my life. In addition to having a really big goal, the other thing that I did was to go back through my business and figure out where I had the most control. The question I was asking myself is, what would happen if I applied all of my focus and energy early in my day on the things that I could control, forgetting the rest? Now, of course, I had to get back to the rest eventually. But what I realized was that when owners come to work reacting, putting out fires, doing things that don't make them happy, they end up having businesses that they don't enjoy. It puts them in a bad mood first thing in the morning. And they also then never have a business that they feel in control of because they're prioritizing putting out the fires versus doing those activities that drive the greatest result. So I made a conscientious decision, which was really just a hypothesis at the time, that proved to be the very thing that changed my life and is probably going to change your life. The hypothesis that if I focused on what I could control first, and almost to the detriment of everything else in my business, what would happen? I set out and I held myself accountable to this very clear goal for 1 year. 1 year later, with that huge goal and a commitment to focus on only what I could control, I had built the largest franchise consulting business in the history of franchise consulting. Do you want to be a history maker? This is the video for you. This is what set me apart from an average performing consultant to an above average performing consultant. In fact, to the #1 consultant in the United States of America at that time. This is all that I did. The first year that I did it exactly as I've explained it to you. It was literally that simple because I really didn't know what the outcome would be. I had nothing to lose. So I just tried it and then it worked. Climbing to the top in relative obscurity was way easier than staying on top when all eyes were focused on me. I did not want to be a one-hit wonder. Once I had a year's worth of data, now I could study my data to learn from it. But remember, nobody before me had done what I did, so I had to teach myself how to do this. That's the point of this video, because I want to save you 8 years of being average so you can go right to the top of the mountain and be the above average performing franchisee, because what I did is applicable to every other business. You may have the benefit of using the data from other top performing franchisees in the system, which is why I'm always coaching my candidates to be talking to the top performing people. The top performing people have what you want. So they're the ones who can answer the questions with the most clarity. In addition to knowing how to get to the top performing people also know why people in their business won't be successful. Because once I achieved this goal of becoming a top producer, I knew what I wasn't doing when I wasn't a top producer. So do you see how the top performing people actually have all of the information that you want to say yes to this dream of yours? So what did I actually do? So this is going to be a little bit of business coaching. It's applicable to any business. The #1 thing that I did was focus on what I could control. So what is the one thing in every business that every business owner can control? Do you want to know the answer? It's prospecting, it's networking, it's marketing, it's lead flow. It's the one thing that most candidates, when they come to me, say, I don't want to be in sales. I want a franchisor who has a marketing plan. I don't want to do any networking. And I'm like, ay, people, this is the thing. When I say you get to have the business of your dreams in a franchise, the franchise is providing the plan, but it's how you work that plan. Those people who come to the idea of owning a franchise expecting that the franchisor is going to produce their customer for them, they're the ones that never have a business that they love. They're the ones that have businesses that they resent. They're the ones who never go on to become the top performing producers in their franchise and probably never get to live the life they said yes to. So don't let that be you. You can learn to control your lead flow. So when I did this, I wasn't very good at it in the beginning. I didn't know how to build a referred lead network, but I made it a focus. And guess what happens with focus? With focus and consistency, you can become an expert. I did. So this was the first thing that I did. I call it massive imperfect action. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to make it right or wrong. Just do it. Every single day that I came to work, I came with the focus of finding one new person who wanted to explore franchising. That's my business. My customer number was a hypothesis the first year. I'm going to encourage you to sort of take that same hypothesis mentality to your business, because the goal is to make it creative and fun and simple. I set this very simple daily goal for myself of finding one new candidate per day. As I got momentum going and as leads started coming in, the tendency when I came into work and I had a pipeline full of people to play with, the tendency was to sort of say, I don't really need to focus on prospecting today. But I resisted that tendency. That would be like my trainees coming into the gym saying, well, I have the perfect body today, so I don't need to work out. But if you don't keep working out, you're not going to have the perfect body for long. And so in my business, what I realized is that if I lost the discipline of focusing on what I could control, because once people were in my process and exploring franchises, ultimately, I couldn't really control what they were going to do. That's what I realized. I should stop focusing on the people in my pipeline. Now, no offense, you know that's not true. My candidates who I work with know how much I love them and I coach them and I encourage them and I want it to be a yes for every one of them. But by letting go of who was going to say yes, it allowed me to do my job, not just with more fun, but more integrity. Because I didn't have to care, I always care, but I didn't have to care who was going to say yes, because I couldn't control that anyway. What I could care about was how many new people I found to play with. And as I built that momentum and I resisted the urge to only play with the people who were in my pipeline, who at some point were going to fall out, I continued to find more people and more people. And week after week and month after month, I built the biggest pipeline in franchise consulting history at that time. So this massive imperfect action of learning how to become a networker, how to build a referred lead organization, enabled me to go from an average performing consultant to an above average performer, to the number one consultant. And I'm telling you, it will work in your business as well. It's those franchisees who are waiting on the franchisor to produce their best leads for them that are the ones that never have a business they love. You don't have to be the most outgoing person or a professional salesperson to learn the skill that I learned. You can learn it with consistency and focus. You can read books. There are many great books on becoming a networker and a prospector and a marketer. There are podcasts. The idea is that I embraced the challenge of growing myself personally and professionally. I became the owner worthy of that business of my dreams, and then I achieved the dream. Many people during their due diligence are thinking about the $1 million dreams, and they're applying all the logic to the process, and they're relying on the franchisor and their track record and their history, and all of those things are important. But ultimately, those are not the things that allow franchise owners to make history. You, my friend, you are what makes history. When you become the owner because you do the work, I did the work. I figured out in my business what I could control. I dared to have a goal so big that it scared me, that it drove me every day to get out of bed and to get into my office and go make that dream come true. And I focused on what I could control every day with consistency. Then I achieved this dream of a lifetime. It's the dream that I have for you. It's the dream that I have for every candidate that I work with. Because who says yes to the dream of owning a business to be an average performing franchise owner? No one. Everybody wants to be a history maker. Give me a break. Everybody wants to have the $1 million dreams and the business that only they can dream of. So you just have to get clear and specific about what you want. You have to set that goal. And then you have to get focused on what you can control. And don't let the things that you can't control you to where they control your mood, to where they control your focus. Because when I came to work laser focused on what I could control, I came happy. I came ready for the day. I was fun. I was creative. I was driven. And you know what? Those characteristics made me unstoppable. And you know what else? It made me contagious. People wanted what I had. People were inspired because I was inspired. So when you become that owner who's embracing the goals that you have in your heart, and you come to work every day, it's not just your life you're going to change, but it's your customers and, more importantly, even your employees, because they're going to feed on the energy that you're bringing into the office every single day. And these are the things that make history in franchising. These are the things that make people live the life that they've signed up for. I know, because I am living proof. It's what I've done since 2012 with my business. If you would like to know more about how to become a history maker in your business, or if you would like more business coaching just like this, I would love to meet you. Please leave a comment below or reach directly out to the Daily Coach. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.